Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Draconis Invasion. Now this is a game that I did a review of earlier in the year, I believe. It was this year? Yeah. This was a game that's a deck building game that surprised me. Not so much that it was a good game, because I know there's lots of deck building games out there that are really good games, as far as the balance of the games, the mechanisms of the games, and so on and so forth. Themes, art, whatever. Theme of this game is great. Art of this game is great, mechanisms work, and so on and so forth. What surprised me about it was that if you've watched my channel, and you've seen me grow as a gamer, like when Dominion came out, that was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and then I was like, oh, I don't like this anymore, and oh, look at all these deck building games coming down the road, because everybody with like $7 worth of art and a deck building idea had a new deck building game come out, and I was just like, oh, there's like so many of these, and they're just not very good. But so when I actually got Draconis Invasion, I was like, all right, well, I mean, I'll give it a try. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is really, really good. So, I mean, check out my review of this if you want to see how the game is played and the mechanisms and my original thoughts, if you will. But that is not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the expansion for this. It's called Wrath. And it adds a bunch of new cards to the game, which is, very, very very welcome. And it plays with the way the actual game is played just a little bit, changes the rules just a little bit, and I'll talk about that in my final thoughts here. But let me just show you all the stuff that's getting added, and then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I'm really excited to add the Wrath expansion to this game right here. Alright, cool. Alright, so here are the cards that are going to be added to the game with the Wrath expansion. Now, as I said, this is a deck building game, so you are welcome to use whatever cards you wish. You can use the campaign aspect of the game, which I'll talk about in a little bit, if you want to, or you can just add a bunch of cards to your Draconis Invasion. So it's kind of just up to you as far as what type of game you want to play. However, there is one really cool change to the turn overview. You just had, this is something that I always liked about Draconis Invasion, and I welcome you again to go ahead and check out my review of that. I'll put that in the description below if you want to go check out my review. But, so Draconis Invasion, it had this really cool, action, and then BCD, and so it went through, an alphabet. It was really easy to remember what you're going to be doing. But now we've got two things that are pretty cool. We added an eliminate action, which allows you to trash a card, and that was something that I thought, I always liked the ability of thinning out my deck. When I played Dominion, I haven't played Dominion in a long time, my whole goal was to have the smallest deck possible. I just kind of like doing that. So having an ability to, eliminate or trash a card out of your deck, welcomed, that this is just something. Now, immediately, you are just picking, you can't buy, you can't campaign, you can't defeat, you can't do any of those things, but the fact of the matter is, sometimes you just want to get a card out of your deck, or maybe the other options just aren't really viable for you in this particular time. And then this one, I like this, Forward. So, place one unused gold card from your hand on top of your deck. So you could just kind of guarantee the fact that if you have any gold left over, you're going to have one to begin with. And I also like that too, because it kind of, you always end up with too many treasure cards in your hand as it is, and being able to place a gold card down, and knowing that you're going to have that the next time, helpful. Now you don't have to do that obviously, but there you go. So I do think that the changes to the turn awesome and really welcome, and I think the designer Jeff, I guess it's Jonathan Jeffrey Lai. I guess I know him as Jeff Lai, I think it was something that he wanted to add, and he playtested it and added it, obviously, and I think it just actually, even if you just didn't use any of these cards and just did this, added those two things with the base game, I think that would be super cool. Alright, so two other things, well actually three different things I want to talk about. Obviously there's the new cards. I want to point out some of these cards for you. Feel free to pause the video and blow it up if you want to, and you can read all the information that's on there if you want. These are all the cards that are added. Now, there's a couple things. There are these event cards that will come into play. These are new. So the player with the most kills must place one non-terror card from their hand into the hand of their player. So these are like kind of catch-up mechanism type cards. They're in here. And I always have felt that, sometimes if you're like playing a game of, well, whatever, I hate to say Dominion over and over again, but that's kind of like the gold standard, right, for deck building games. There was always that one person who got their deck together really, really well, and there was really nothing you could do to stop it. So, just having something that would actually like slow them down a little bit, give you a chance, welcome. Here's a God Hand event. Players with the most kills must trash one non-terror card. Then all other players may trash any number of non-terror cards. So it really helps out like people like me who are behind. I can just get rid of a bunch of junk out of my hand. Dead Scrolls. Player with the most kills must choose another player and then give any 2 campaign cards to that player. So then they have to hand stuff off. Stuff I like. I like that added aspect to the game. You get some cool new invaders that you get to add to the game, new things that you get to try to kill and destroy. These have like reveal, the attacking player chooses another player. You each must trash 1 random card from your hand. Notice the interaction between the players on the invader. That's something that I'm going to stress a lot as far as interaction goes, because these cards now have kind of ramped that up, and you and the other players are going to be, well, this isn't a cooperative game, but you're going to be making tough choices, because sometimes, your cards will actually help other players that you're sitting at the table with, and you obviously don't always want to help them. So you have, I've started at the lower number, moving up. There's all kinds of cool things. Like here is this Ravager. So you'll notice that, place this defender, he's got a 5 attack, which is awesome. But then you place this defender card in an opponent's discard pile. So if you have this card and you use it, you're giving it to somebody else. Now, maybe they don't even want it. Maybe you're gumming up their deck, but I'm going to guess most likely they're going to want to use it. Now, maybe it'll come back to you. When they use it, they'll hand it off as well. And here, the Minotaur, place this defender card in an opponent's discard pile. So there's no one with the same ability. So here's this cool the Shadow Beast. You trash it after your use, then all other players must trash 1 gold card from their hand, if possible. And here, you just, these are all these interaction cards. Goblin Enforcer. Trash after use, choose another player. That player must trash 2 random cards from their hand. So these are all things that let you muck with the other players, and because if they're building up that perfect deck that they can just rattle through, now all of a sudden you stepped in and they're going to have to adapt and they're going to have to change things up, and obviously people are going to be able to do that to you as well. Check out this one. Choose another player. That player gains +6 cards to their hand. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Why would you do that? Oh, I see. It's got a 65 attack. So it's kind of a guaranteed, kill if you're using that one. So, those are super cool, and they're going to add a bunch of different decisions and try to figure out. Just moving straight down from that one, here we have the War Fortress, big action card. Choose another player. You may each gain 1 wealth card to your hand. Once again, who do I help out? Who's in last place? I'll help you. I'm not worried about you and everything. Here's a card I like a lot. Metagenesis. Discard any number of defender cards, gain +2 cards to your hand per discarded card. So it can be one of those build-up turns where you're trying to just get set up for another one coming up. Here's Eye of the Storm. Draw a campaign card, choose another player. They also draw a campaign card. Once again, who am I going to help out? Well, who am I going to stop? This one, a lower costing sacrifice. Here we have choose another player. You may each trash 1 non-terror card from your hand. So good for you, and I like that card a lot. But trying to figure out who, and the thing is, that might not actually help anybody, because it's a you may, so maybe you'll pick somebody, you'll get to trash a card, but then you pick somebody, maybe they've got a really good deck, and they're not going to trash it, whereas you got somebody else who's got a bunch of junk in their hand, they want to get rid of it. You don't want to pick them, right? So you got to pick the right person you really want to, and then make sure that you make the right choice as far as that's concerned. So you have all these new cards, you have all these new ways to play Draconis Invasion. It makes, obviously, if I really like this game, and I've said that in my old review, and I said it in the introduction, I was surprised that I liked a deck building game again. This is not my forte, but I played it so much that the game was repetitive, fun, but repetitive. And whenever you get to that point, having a bunch of new ways to play the game is a welcome addition to when you start. But let me talk more about like kind of expansions in general, and also about the campaign stuff and my final thoughts. All right, I told the guy upstairs not to drop this one because it's super heavy, and plus I really like this game and I don't want anything bad to happen to it. So sorry you didn't get a drop by the guy upstairs. But all right, so I've already explained. If you've watched my video for Draconis Invasion, you know why I dig the game. You know why I like it. So expansions for games. I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, back in the day, I used to be like, yeah, more stuff, give me more stuff, give me. And there's some games that it works really well for. And then there's games like you think that it's like, this was like probably already in the game, but they just removed it, and then they're now going to sell me another box for like $30, and that's like the whole plan was to, get me in at like $40 and then get me to spend $30 later. I'm not trying to be cynical. I just kind of think that's the way it works. I could be wrong. But for me, it's like one of those things where I like expansions that add a bunch of new options. And I'm not talking about like modular ones, because I'm not a big fan of those either. But I like expansions that add a bunch of new stuff. Give me new cards. Give me new things. Give me new stuff to play with, but don't change the game too much. There's nothing I really dislike more than spending a good amount of time learning how to play a game, learning the rules, so you know them frontwards, backwards, up and down, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, here's this new expansion with all this cool new stuff that you can put in. Oh, cool, let's get that. Oh, look, you're gonna have to totally rethink the way that the game is played because we totally changed everything, and you're like, I gotta relearn the game. I don't want to relearn the game. I just want new stuff. I want new cards. I want new figures. I want new monsters. I want, whatever. Whatever the game has, I want new stuff, but keep the game the same. Now, Draconis Invasion, as I said, changed it just a little bit. Just a little bit. They changed it up. They added, like, the different actions to the person's turn. But they were welcome. They were very welcome, and I actually really, really liked those. I thought that they changed the game for the better, but they weren't intrusive. One of the things I always loved about Draconis Invasion, and I said this during the gameplay or the showing of the expansion, was the fact that the designer went to the trouble of alphabetizing what you had to do, so you could just go A B C D E, and you had that down. It was like boom, boom, boom. I always loved that. Players' turns went fast, they were quick, and then the next person goes. Because nothing, come on, and agree with me here. Nothing stinks more when you're playing a deck building game, and you have that one person who has just set up their deck perfectly, and they're like, okay, play this card, draw that, play this card, play this, just draw that, play this card, draw that, play this card, draw that, okay, trash this, search the discard pile for this, add that, draw this, play this, draw this, and you're just like, oh, fine, you win. But the best part about this game is that, yes, there is a little bit of chaining going on, but nothing as exorbitant as other games that I've seen before, which is one of the reasons why I really like this game. The player interaction is what I love, because if you have one of those people that is doing their 7-minute turns of going through all their cards, you're like, oh, you seem to have all those cards you really love. Let's just trash the heck out of your hand and just rip it up and ruin your ideas of what you have that's going on. And there's a lot of that stuff that goes on. And I like being able to mess with somebody's perfect little engine that they've got going, and as much as I dislike other people messing with my little engine, I'm really horrible at making deck building engines. I just always kind of like, oh, these seem kind of cool, I'll get some of these. And oh, that seems cool, I'll get rid of those. And, and I win every once in a while. I win a lot, but I just have fun building up my thing. What isn't fun for me is watching somebody who knows the game backwards and forwards just wipe the floor with me, and why am I even playing the game in the first place? So, give me stuff where I can screw with other people, and that's going to make me happy. I already the artwork is great. The campaign stuff. So the campaign is like it adds a narrative to the game. So it like kind of like says, oh, this is what your battle is. This is what you're going to be having to deal with, and it is going to like tell a story as you play. So if you get the same people at the table over and over again, and play multiple sessions, you can kind of go through this little epic like jaunt, if you will, and kind of have the story evolve. And that's super cool. I mean, it adds a lot. My daughter and I enjoyed it. But ultimately, after you've done it a few times, maybe it'll grow stale. But the thing is that I do think it's a great way to get new players into the game, new players interested. It definitely excited my daughter because she kind of just liked the story, liked the aspect of it. And let's be fair. Deck building games don't have a lot of narrative to them. I don't feel like I'm truly like, oh, these are my warriors going to fight. I don't feel like I'm building a dominion. Not to bring up that game again, but I don't feel like that. I just feel like I'm going through cards. The cards are telling me what to do. So anytime that they take the time to just kind of say, hey, here you can do this, do that. You can have this little backstory to what you're doing. I think that just adds a little bit. I mean, it's still kind of tough. It's still kind of tough to really have immersion, just because I don't think deck building has the deck building. The mechanism itself doesn't, I guess, in my opinion, lend itself to an immersion aspect very much. But I do appreciate what the designer was going for, and I do think that, like I said, it helped getting new players into the game, such as members of my family. So it kind of was in having to be able to like say, ooh, this battles can be against demons and stuff. So it has like a purpose. It has like something. It's rooted in some sort of basis, if you will. So yeah. Honestly, if you own this game, you're gonna want the expansion. You're just gonna want it. And I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't get it. Why wouldn't you get a bunch of more cards for a super, super cool game? If you don't own this game, go watch my review of this and go back and get the base game and get the expansion. I've seen this in like my local game store, so it's obviously hitting distribution, which actually makes me pretty happy because I'm not a deck building guy. As a matter of fact, I'm an anti-deck building guy. I'll come right out and say that. But this is like that. What is it? They say the exclusion that breaks the rule, or I can't remember the saying right now. I'm sure somebody will post it. But the exception that proves the rule. That's it? Yeah, so that's what it is for me. So there you go. Draconis Invasion Wrath. Go check it out. I'm sure you're going to love it. If you have any questions about this or the expansion, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those questions about deck builders. Tell me about deck builders maybe that I don't know about that are really, really awesome. And I'd love to check those out too. Until next time, this is me, the Undead Viking, telling you to just, hey, be the best you that you can possibly be. Be a positive person. Be the person people want to hang out with. Have a smile on your face. Remove the toxic things and people and situations from your life and concentrate on making every day count, because you know what? They do. Yeah. Awesome. You have yourself one heck of an awesome day.